We know Bill O'Reilly best from mixing it up with his guests every night on The O'Reilly Factor, but Bill also finds time to write some very interesting books.
Yeah, his newest is called Killing Lincoln, the shocking assassination that changed America forever. And Bill is kind enough to join us now to talk politics, protests, and of course, the new book. Mr. O'Reilly, good to have you.
Chris, thanks for having me in.
Thanks so much for coming.
Betty.
Let's talk about that first and foremost, because it's in the headlines this morning. They were supposed to clear out the protesters down for the Occupy Wall Street down in Lower Manhattan. In the final hour, they're about a half hour before they were supposed to clear them out. They've decided we're postponing removing any of these protesters. I know this has been a big topic on the Factor the last couple of nights. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I mean, I respect protests. We respect the Tea Party, and we respect some of these protesters down there who genuinely want to change their country for the better. It's a private park, and the reason they didn't kick them out was because the guys who own the park said, you know, I'll let them stay there for a while. Yeah. So the New York City authorities did the right thing. They have to do it one way or the other based on the private property concerns. The thing that disturbs me about these guys, the Occupy Wall Street people, is that New York Magazine took a survey and asked 100 of them, how radical left are you? And 34 out of the 100, 34% said, we believe that the United States is no better than Al-Qaeda. Now, once you get into that kind of an extreme position, you got to take a real skeptical look at it.
But have you noticed, though, more people that are kind of joining in the protest down there? Because I think that's what everybody sees at first. You see the reports in the papers that people are down there to, you know, procure drugs and kind of get involved in some of the things that don't go along with a protest if you're really trying to get behind a message. You know, Time Magazine, they've got a poll out. They say 54% of Americans have a favorable view of what's going on down there. Is there kind of that dichotomy? You've got that one bad element that's involved down there, but then you've also got a lot of people that kind of understand and are getting behind this movement.
You know, it's different from the Tea Party, and the Tea Party is pretty united under one banner: smaller government, less intrusion by the federals. Here, it's all over the place. I think there's a party element down there. You know, there's a dating element. You know, here they all are in one little park. I'll zoom down, and then there's a serious element of people can't get a job and they're teed off. So it's a lot harder to categorize those people than it is, say, the Tea Party.
Which has a lot of people asking questions. I mean, can this movement last if there is no singular voice, no singular leadership to it?
It depends how much money Soros is willing to invest. George Soros, the far-left financier, because the leaders of the group are being paid. And, yeah, the agitators and the people who organize, they can continue to keep it going if the money continues to flow. Now, the rank-and-file protesters, they're not getting paid. It's just the people that are saying, okay, we're going to go here, we're going to go there, this is where, you know, and march on this one, that one. So I don't see it, though, as a growing movement. It's not going to be like Vietnam. It's not going to be like that.
You think Mayor Bloomberg, he's taken the party line, and he said as long as they don't break the law, they can stay down. You think he's happy about this?
No, of course he's not happy about it, but you have to do that. I mean, you don't want to be beating these people up and chasing them around. America is built on dissent and robust debate, and that's a good thing, and we should respect it.
All right, you were on Letterman last night. We're just going to show a quick
clip. Was I on Letterman?
From your performance last night on The Late Show with David Letterman. Let's play it real quick, and then we'll talk about it on the back end.
We've never had a president named Mitt. As a historian, you know that.
Never had one named Iraq either, did we?
No.
Good answer right there. Let's talk presidential politics right now. Well, first and foremost, Governor Rick Perry was on our broadcast earlier this morning. Why won't he agree to come on the Factor?
I don't know. We offered him 8 minutes tonight. 8 minutes we offered him tonight, which is an enormous, you know, this is the highest rated primetime news program in the world.
6 million viewers a night.
Yeah, and we said, hey, Governor, well, you know, we have 8 minutes for you on a Friday night. Come on in. Not coming in. I mean, I'm sitting there going, I don't even think he wants it now. My theory, I could be wrong, but I think he got so beat up the first 3 or 4 weeks in there that he said, you know what? I don't really want it. Because if he wanted it, you don't pass up 8 minutes. Look, I'm here in the morning getting up early so I can sell a few copies of this book because millions of people watch you. Yeah. This is what you do. If you want to get your message out, you go and you do it. And he's turning down 8 minutes on the Factor. It doesn't make any sense.
Well, you know, it is. It's a numbers game. And let's talk about the numbers because Herman Cain is doing quite well, especially in the latest Wall Street Journal poll. He's leading that. Is this a guy who can truly win?
No.
He can't. In your
know, I mean, no
Bill,
spin.
I want you to be honest.
Okay, well, then some people say if he doesn't win, then maybe he is poising himself for a spot on a cable news program and could become your competition.
Herman can do whatever Herman wants. And by the way, when I say no, I think everybody should understand that I thought Hillary Clinton would beat Barack Obama. So You know, I could be wrong
in
too.
the past.
But Herman Cain didn't have any money. He doesn't have much of an organization in the states that matter. I'm thrilled with Herman Cain. I think he has injected a lot a lot of interest in this campaign. He's not stiff, he's straightforward. The 999 thing's never going to work, and he'd never get it passed. But just the fact that he's there and he's getting people to talk is a good thing. But he's a populist, and these polls are based on likely Republican primary voters. When you take it wide to general election, he doesn't compete nearly as well. And I can tell you this as a fact, Barack Obama would love to run against Herman Cain.
Well,
that would be his #1 choice now that Palin's out of the race.
So what does the Republican Party do if you look across the polls and across the landscape, and this is the man who is
Republican Party
currently...
should be fair and balanced. Give Herman the forum, see what the folks want, stay out of it, let the best man win.
You think they share the same view as you, though, and that
I don't know.
he's probably not going to be able to?
I don't know what these pinheads are thinking. See, everybody on Fox is Republican. I have never in my life talked to anybody in the Republican Party or seen any of their literature, and I don't care what they say.
Yeah.
I'm an American, and I want a robust debate, and Herman Cain provides that.
Well, let's talk about Mitt Romney.
Yeah.
I want to get to that for a second because Rush Limbaugh, who supported him in 2008, recently came out and said, you know what, he's not a true conservative.
You know,
What do you think
look,
about
again, I'm not going to comment on what Mr. Limbaugh says or doesn't say. He's entitled to his opinion. He's very successful, and a lot of people listen to him. I think Romney did a decent job in Massachusetts. I lived there for many years. The state was upgraded by the financial concerns when he was in office, which is almost unheard of because the legislature is so far left. They're going to move to Cuba tomorrow. So he did a pretty good job in Massachusetts. Now, you like Romneycare, you don't like Romneycare, it's up to you. It's up to the folks. But I think that the governor is a formidable presence. I think he has an economic background, and this election next year will be all about economics.
I want to talk about this, a #1 New York Times bestseller, not your first time down
Again,
that road,
yeah.
Killing Lincoln, your latest book. This is, as a former history teacher, what are you looking to do? Update curriculums at schools around the country?
Here's this is a God's honest truth. This is a departure for me. As you know, I usually write books about current contemporary problems. But we're in trouble in America. We're in a country in decline. And I said to myself, who is the greatest leader America's ever had? Abraham Lincoln, in my opinion. He's the gold standard. So I'm going to introduce Lincoln to a country that doesn't know a lot about him, particularly younger Americans. They don't get taught history. They don't know what he suffered. And I'm going to write it like a John Grisham novel. This is no history book. You read it, right?
And let me ask you this: when you were thinking about doing that, did you think, well, I could fall flat here to try to write something like this as a thriller? When there's so many Lincoln books out there, and if people want,
I took less money for this book to do it because the publisher said, well, you know, you're really successful in this, but this is a departure, and there's a lot of Lincoln books.
Yep.
So I said, look, we'll do it. And #1, I was surprised in the sense that it took off so quickly. But people are hungry to know about their heroes. And Lincoln is hero #1, Washington #2.
And you spent a lot of money on research in this book.
Yeah, we hired the best researcher, Martin Dugard, and came up with some unbelievable stuff.
Give us one or two for the folks at home.
John Wilkes Booth is engaged to be married. Who's his fiancée stepping out with? Robert Todd Lincoln, the president's son. On the side,
Where do you find
we
that
think
information?
Booth found out about it, and that drove his hatred for Lincoln even more because his fiancée was double teaming him with Robert Todd. How did we find out?
How do you find
All
that?
of the stuff that we got was from letters, okay, with conversations that either occurred at the time or afterward. The most eerie part of the book is when Lincoln predicts his own death. And that came to his wife and to people in the White House. He knew he was going to be killed. And that came, people who heard that conversation wrote it down in letters and sent it to other people, and we got a hold of that correspondence.
But he didn't increase the security, even though he thought he was going to be
If I ever get to
assassinated.
heaven, because I know Abe's there, that's the one question I want to ask him. Why didn't you up your security when you had a premonition you were going to be killed?
Well, Bill, thank you so much.
Fascinating.
All right, guys, thanks for having me.
Continued success with the book and with everything else and with the factor as well. Thank you so much.